Hey.
I didn't play the intro because I don't have the intro. I'll do it in post.
Okay.
Professional talk. We haven't done this since October.
That's like 9 months.
Yeah. And I don't even think we recorded that episode at that point. I think it was recorded in March and uploaded in October.
Well, no, because we did live in this house.
You sure?
Yes.
What did we talk about? Where'd we do it?
Right over there.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Well, we moved.
We moved.
Since we but since we, recorded our first 4.
Sometime in the last time, we moved about 3 miles.
We have moved before. And that was a beating. We also bought an RV.
Yeah.
Nice one. I don't remember if we talked about that.
I don't know because the way it happened and immediately went into the shop, even if we had recorded, we would have been angry about it.
Yeah, definitely. We got it at the end of November. We used it over Thanksgiving. Took it to the shop in December, and it stayed there until
yesterday? No.
April? Maybe? I don't know. So we've had a lot of shit going on.
So much.
Not only have we been super busy, but life's just been hectic and difficult.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's an understatement, but
yeah. Where do we start? Like trying to catch folks up. It was a difficult school year with Leilani. She's 17.
Yes, she just wrapped up her junior year.
And it was hardest school year she's had?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't figure there would be any hesitation there. She's been a good student, but she just didn't want to didn't do her work. And
there was a school year where she moved like 3 times and changed schools all those times, so that was the only comparison. But that didn't bother her so much. She was so social.
Yeah.
So yeah, this past one, most difficult for her.
A lot of mental health struggles.
Mm-hmm.
How do we deal with that? It's tough.
Yeah, to wrap it up, I would say as it comes.
Yeah.
A lot of communication with not only each other, but also with her. And what do you need from us right now? Her saying, I don't know. And then we give suggestions. And then when she decides to go with something she wants to try that are none of those advices we gave her, we just try to roll with it.
Yeah. I guess just support.
Yeah. And she's been really flexible on that, I would say. And for the most part, willing.
Yeah. We definitely adjusted our parenting style this last school year for her, because the end of the school year before that, when she started slipping, we were dropping the hammer.
Yeah.
And continued to do that for a while. And then backed off and played more of a supporting role. Didn't steal her phone, let her keep her friends and her support groups. Never took her car away or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of the healing, now that I'm literally just now thinking about it. I think that was a lot of the improvement. Treating her like an actual, not adult, but she is truly about to be an adult. And so trying to embrace that and start laying the foundation little by little.
Working through those adult problems.
Mm-hmm. Reality checks and balances.
Who thought it'd be a good idea to come up here and record this like 3 minutes after we ate? We're both burping all over the place. I'm going to throw up on this microphone.
Don't do that.
I also left my job in March.
Yeah.
Something that I had spent a decade trying to do and considering doing. And when it finally came time to do it, it was terrifying. Well, it was terrifying. I mean,
I would almost say exhilarating.
Yes,
because that encompasses the fear and excitement.
Yeah, and it wasn't super terrifying because it was set up it was smart. It was set up well. It wasn't like I'm gonna take a leap and start a business from scratch and see what sticks. It was dedicating a decade to podcasting and testosterone information. What was that word we just came up with?
Education.
Curating
Yeah. Yeah.
information curation, and kind of led into an offer to become a managing partner of a medical clinic. So
Such a smart move on the company's part, by the way.
I mean, it's proving to be so mutually beneficial. I'm having the time of my life. Essentially, this company's been built by two people, and now I'm the third that gets to come in and just figure out processes and fix them and write them and choose them, and it's a lot of decisions, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
They trust you with everything, which is
Crazy.
crazy, but also, I mean, a good move because you're the right man for it.
I'm supposed to say crazy, and you're supposed to say it's not crazy.
No, it is. Sorry, love, it is. But you're the man for it, and you've been shining and glowing and killing it, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does it turn you on?
Mostly, yes. The flip side is that it bleeds into our personal lives.
Yeah.
A lot more.
We talked about that before the transition. I don't recall exactly what we discussed, but it's not, I hope it feels like it's not typical business ownership stuff, I'm not up here in this office 14 hours a day, and away from the family. Like, yes, I'm, checking the emails that come in on the phone, and occasionally running up here for a little bit. But you know what I mean? It's not like when you think of somebody owning a business, it's like, oh, well, they're just never available. And the reality is that we still take trips. We still do family stuff. I occasionally have my laptop in the bed, or come up here. It's not too crazy, right?
Yeah, it's not too crazy at all. It's not anything like I imagined it would be. I think that you're balancing it really well. The difficult part comes in, one, that you love it so much. This is your passion, which is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Two, because these processes that you're putting in place pretty much are from ground up. So you have to take ownership of those, and you do have to respond to those emails a lot. But you make it a point to not be like, cutting me off in the middle of a sentence, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes.
If we're in the middle of something, I would say,
Hang on, I gotta check my email.
I
Middle of something, what now?
I feel like you typically pause and mentally step aside at opportune times.
Yeah. And there's not a whole lot that's going to take me out of a conversation. A phone call from Ken, a phone call from Ashley, maybe just because I have no idea what they might need. But that, similarly, they're not calling me 15 times a day. That's why I feel like I need to take the call. It's twice a day, maybe. So then it's like, oh, well, this is only the second time that they've called me today, so must be something big.
Yeah.
It's also afforded us a couple of trips to beautiful, sunny Florida, which has been fun.
Well, Florida. I don't know about the beautiful sunny part. We haven't been to that part yet.
This last trip, it was pretty. The first time I thought, I don't know, this is gross.
The first time we had to see that giant poster of Tom Brady.
Yeah, we drove right past the Bucs Stadium. But this last time, we just got back yesterday, and we saw a prettier side of Florida, I think.
Yeah, we didn't see Tom Brady at all.
Didn't see him. Well, we did drive past that stadium, but he was probably already removed from the sign.
Clean breakup.
Yeah. What did we do there? We went to be on a super famous show.
We did.
We actually, I think we stumbled in to a really cool, super comfortable situation with a couple of really cool people. It's not what we were expecting it to be.
Yeah.
Went down there because as part of, well, I guess initially I reached out to this guy. He's got like 2 different TikTok accounts with a total of 1.7 million followers. He's got a big YouTube channel, and I reached out to him to collaborate as TRT community or my podcast, All Things Testosterone, and it kind of developed into a matrix hormones relationship with him, the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So we went down there, met with him and his wife at his home, which I thought was crazy, and he hit record on his podcast.
Turns out they thought it was crazy too.
He hit the record button, and we sat down and we talked for 3.5 hours about
so much
life and about, relationships and communication and hormones, and it was super comfortable.
So I think we should shout out to them, the To Be Better podcast.
Yep.
The Burketts have these hearts for mentorship that, just in all things, and not just with us, but also other relationships that they've talked about with us. It feels like they are just ready and willing to pour into people.
Yep.
And if they're not pouring into people, like those people don't necessarily need that, they're still ready to be a support system and an encouragement in that, here we are sitting down again. So it definitely encouraged us to get together, do this again, and to take it a little more lightly and make it fun instead of a big production. Which
is interesting. I've been podcasting for 4 years. Chris has been podcasting for 7 months. And, when we got there, it was, now granted, he's got much better equipment than I do, whether that be microphones or stands or lights.
I saw you drooling.
Yeah. His cameras are crazy. This is, this and these are iPhones. So the one main shot there is a actual camera, but it's not as good as his least good camera. Anyway, so learning, that you can just sit down and hit record, and I can pause for 6 minutes and cut that out. And obviously I knew that, but it's just that mindset of like,
it's okay.
There's no pressure.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling a little suffocated with this mic in my face. I think those mics that he has, if we can back it off to here, I think that'll help.
All right.
We'll
see. Put them in your cart.
We'll see. So a lot of what they do, and they are, I don't know how to describe them. They're alternative. They cuss a lot. They're little sailors,
Mm-hmm.
Tattoo faced. He owns a few tattoo shops as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
cool hair colors, which we love to see in people.
He doesn't have any hair.
Well, his better half does.
He's got some gray in his beard. But they talk a lot about traditional values. Do you, Maggie, consider us a traditional valued marriage?
Probably about 80%.
Yeah.
I would say at the base of it, we do embrace our gender roles and our traditional values that come mainly from our faith, I would say, especially for us. But there are a lot of things that we're not that strict on.
What's the 20% that you would not consider as traditional?
I mean, for instance, you do the dishes. I haven't touched a dish since I met you, a dirty one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just...
That's it? That's all you got?
No, that's not all I got.
Well, and just, yes, absolutely, because that's not just me helping with a role that is yours. That's my role. Now it's the kid's role, but that was my thing. But I don't know. I mean, you do more homekeeping than I do, and I think that was just something that I recognized that you really didn't like doing and stepped into it to serve you, not because I felt like it was my role,
Mm-hmm.
So I think, even with those pieces missing, I still feel like we would both agree that, if I'm the primary breadwinner, is that the right thing? Breadwinner? Bread taker?
No.
Money maker?
Take bread.
Rump shaker? No?
Yeah, you are bringing home the bacon.
That those things like dishes would probably fall more into yours, and then it's more me stepping in and turning you on by doing them.
Then we both win.
Yeah. Oh, and so when we showed up, I initially I told him, yeah, we're traditional, and then when he sat us down, he hit record, and he was like, "So traditional, go." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess we're not as traditional as you guys, but I relate to the communication, the flirting, the courtship, the dating, the him researching. I research things just like he researches things, so I recognize at that moment
Excessively, you mean?
yeah, I recognize then that it's not just the traditional-ish marriage. It's a lot of the things that we had in common.
Yeah.
Hating on man haters, and I just watched a clip earlier today where he was talking about setting up. They've got several podcast areas in their house, and he was talking about the whiskey room, which is where we recorded, and about how it was almost ready. And he was going to cut holes in the rug and run the cables, and he's thinking cable management, and he's thinking setup, and it's not even being done being built at that point. And he said, "This is how my brain works. It's constantly going." And I had never in my life related to somebody who said something like, "I just can't shut my brain off," because I can and I do, except when it comes to those things. When it comes to tasky things like that, I don't worry excessively, and I can shut that off. But when it comes to like, I got to get up there and I got to empty out that toolbox, and I got to put all my podcast equipment in my extra toolbox because like I can't quit thinking about that kind of stuff.
And you did it.
And then I did it. Yeah. I can't breathe. Have you seen all this Jonah Hill stuff going on?
No.
You know who Jonah Hill is?
An actor?
Yes. Do you know which?
No.
He was in Superbad. He's the fat guy that was in 21 Jump Street. He's lost weight.
Okay. I haven't seen that, but I think I can remember.
You know who he is?
I think so.
So his ex-girlfriend is leaking text messages from him to her, and he is getting destroyed by society for being controlling and manipulative. I guess that's really it. Jealous, just a terrible boyfriend or fiance, whatever he was.
Was this a long-term relationship?
I think so. But people are tearing him down, and he's really just saying things like, "I don't want to be in a relationship with you if you're going to sleep over at Frankie Muniz's apartment."
That's a boy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
I mean, I think that's fair.
yeah.
It's called a boundary. It's not control.
Right. And so I think, what people are saying is that the boundary is supposed to be his to cross, not hers to cross. But I think it's fair to have I have a boundary that I don't want to date a woman that does those things. If you are a woman that does, and maybe he should leave it at that. And if you are a woman that does those things, I'm out. Because people are saying that it's very controlling of him to say things like that.
No, everyone gets to have their own boundaries. It's not just women.
Yeah.
And it's not controlling. It's setting a standard. Furthermore, when you come across someone who crosses those boundaries, like, one, they need to be told that they've done so, and then the next boundary moves out a little further.
Closer or more restrictive.
Yeah. The leash gets tighter.
Yeah. Do you remember when we thought about having a baby?
Yes.
Are we done with Jonah Hill?
We're done with him.
We thought about having a baby. I don't remember if we talked about it on here or not.
Probably not.
We went to a doctor.
We were all over the place.
Talked to the doctor about having a baby, and then we decided not to have a baby.
Yeah.
Why'd we decide that?
We remembered that we are so old and
60.
not
The graduation's not exciting.
Yeah. It clearly, I mean, we're not too old to have a baby. But for us, I think it was just like, do we want to be chasing a toddler again? Do we want to have a screaming baby again.
No,
Um,
we don't.
we don't.
But we do like a lot of the ideas or a lot of the aspects of it.
We'll
Maybe we
wait.
still will.
We won't.
Let's have a baby.
We did have a baby in the last 9 months.
Did we?
We got our new puppy.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That
as
one?
close as it
Is he
gets.
on
But
camera?
he's not new.
Oh, he's not on camera.
He's old. He used to be. I pushed him because he was snoring.
Oh.
Yeah, puppy's got a little more. He's got to learn his boundaries a little more before he can come up here with us.
Yeah, there's too much wires.
Yeah, no baby making in our future, whether we revisit adoption or foster, or we just wait it out until we're at the grandparent phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait for a long time for that.
It's a long time. Probably a real long time.
Probably.
I mean, it could be 9 months from now, but it's probably not. You okay?
No. No, I'm not okay.
Vince has his first girlfriend.
She's not even technically a girlfriend. They're talking.
Whatever. That's the same thing.
Yeah,
Kids
pretty
these
much.
days. What do you think about that?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I love her. I've known her a long time. She's a really great kid.
Older woman.
Yeah, he pulled the older sister's friend.
Yeah. But you love her, known her a long time,
But I don't want our babies to date. I don't even want the oldest to date. I don't want any of them to be dating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little weird for me or different for me with him than it was with Leilani. I think that there's a lot of things, like I'm harder on him because he's a boy, and needs to be meeting those standards of that traditional relationship, and not that he would have to have those when he's an adult. But I don't want him to grow up and have been given no direction.
Yeah.
So, I think I have to give him my direction, and then he can choose whenever he's a man, which direction he wants to go.
Yeah.
Things like
he and his future spouse can decide together.
Well, sure. Or, I think there's room for him to seek a spouse based on his boundaries or, what he's worked out on his own, I guess.
You're right.
Rather than because it's not something that I think I would have been able to change. If you came in and were like, well, maybe not, because I wouldn't have a problem with you. I would not have been willing to change if you said, you, Kayla, are the breadwinner. I'm going to stay home with the kids. That's not something that I'm interested in, So, I've got my ideals and sought them matched in a partner.
Yeah.
But things like forethought and planning, those are things I'm trying to get him on board with currently. Like not asking for a ride to, but not covering the ride back from somewhere, that kind of thing, and then get stranded at the movies and start blowing people's phones up, needing it. You need to think through that and figure out your life before you start to execute.
Yeah. I don't know. That is difficult. I feel like that's just a reckless boy thing.
Sure, and I'm not saying we ground him for it.
Sex stereotyping again, but no, I know. I'm just saying that's why it's so difficult.
Yeah. I just want him to start thinking that way,
You didn't have that luxury when you were younger.
I didn't have the luxury for anyone to motivate me to do any thinking. I just was jump-started into their thinking, Or things like, hey, can I go to the movies? Yeah, sure. Is there anything I can do to earn money? The movie starts in an hour and a half. Well, no, bro, teaching, that we're not going to stop our lives and come up with you're 14, that you're going to want to do something at some point. Have a little forethought, ask that question on a regular basis, and a week ago, and you would have more money than you would know what to do. Well, that's not true, but you would have plenty of money to do what you want to do. We ever talked about debriefing on here?
I think vaguely.
That's a hard shift from, You made me go out of order, technically.
I didn't make you do anything.
Let's keep talking about kids.
Okay.
What other changes with kids are difficult?
What all of them.
Makeup. 12-year-old,
Yep.
11-year-old wanting to wear makeup.
Yeah.
She's
Shave her legs and
she's our oldest, second youngest kid. She's the one that wants a makeup vanity at 11. She wants to sit down and do her hairstyles and her makeup and
her skincare
and designer clothes.
and aesthetic decorating and organizing.
Do her nails.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's going to be a handful at 14.
Yeah.
It's funny whenever, like, Leilani will say, this is why you're not going to have a car, or this is why you're not going to be able to do anything, because she thinks like a grown-up already at 11 and 3/4 years old.
Yeah, in most scenarios.
Things have been tricky with Faye, too.
Yeah, the youngest.
Yeah. You guys have a hard time relating sometimes.
I don't know if it's so much, I don't know, hard time relating maybe, but out of our 4 children, she's the one who's the most like I was when I was little, except that she's very friendly, social, and I never would have talked to anyone.
Yeah.
But there are struggles. I mean, I still feel super blessed.
He's done.
That's what he wants you to think. I still feel super blessed by the smoothness of our roller coaster, but it is a roller coaster. At her age, it's a little easier because she is younger and was younger when we got together. She was 5. So there are perks to that, but there's also working against the evil stepmom stigma that is spoon-fed to kids her age.
Who's feeding it?
Freaking Disney.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah.
Not just Disney, but,
Yeah.
children's entertainment in general.
Yeah, it's something that, it's the single biggest stressor I think that we have is parenting that one, y'all's relationship. It's difficult at times to work through.
Yeah. So one of the things that plagues me with my 3 biological children is how tough of a parent I used to be. And it was a matter of trying to get through life. So it was mostly necessary. But now I can say things to them like, really, you just left your socks laying on the floor? Go pick them up. And then, whereas if Faye left her socks on the floor, there's no way I could talk to her like that.
Yeah. You could
try. I've tried. She'll cry.
A little sensitive.
I think it's just me. I don't know. She's not sensitive in general.
Yeah.
She almost never cries, to be truthful. But so I go between this, like, do I say something? Do I not say something? And then we've discussed okay, you do all the positive reinforcement or I'll do all the positive reinforcement and you'll do the negative. And then I just feel like I'm snitching like a little kid, and that doesn't feel good. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
We never stopped, we never stop trying, communicating about it, trying new things. Like, sure, it may cause tension, but we keep going. We keep talking through it.
Yeah.
Right.
They're very awkward conversations to have, but we just do it.
They can't be, they can be the most awkward conversations that we have. And that's weird because we talk about, like, butthole licking and stuff. that's not awkward at all.
Yeah.
We debrief after we debrief.
They over communicate about everything,
Yeah.
including over communicating.
Yeah.
And like we'll still do it, but I don't know. Because the parts that I have issues with are the negatives, I don't want to be harping on the negative all the time. And so sometimes it takes a while to get my thoughts together. Luckily, there's not a whole lot of negative. We don't have a whole lot of issues, but every once in a while there's something, there's something.
We've had a harder time than average lately, though. Very hot and cold.
Yeah.
Lots of communication struggles, like even just simple stuff like I don't feel like you like me right now, that kind of thing.
I do. I like you.
No, right now I understand. But even as recently as yesterday, those are things that we're talking about, and I think it's good that we talk about them. Hey, when you said this, it made me think this, or this is what I heard, or I felt this, or whatever. And it's most of the time it ends up being, I don't know, miscommunicated, super sensitivity on both of our parts, where it's like, well, I thought that you started this cycle of not liking, and you thought that I started it, so it's nice to not.
Yeah.
You know what else was nice?
What?
You woke me up with sex this morning. That's like the second time that's happened.
Ever.
Yeah, usually if it's morning sex I'm after, there's a good 35 minutes of groundwork that I have to lay.
Well, it's Sunday, and on Sundays I have to wake up really early.
So it wasn't morning sex.
And you don't. Yeah, for me, I'd been up a couple hours already. So.
Yeah. There was one time where we had talked about it the night before. And I don't remember who's. Go ahead.
Well, I think firstly, what we decided that night is, we're too tired. I don't remember what we had done that day, but we were both like,
we probably had
I'm
done
so
sex.
sorry, but I'm exhausted.
So we had decided that night, no, we're not going to have sex tonight, but we'll do it in the morning, right?
You said that,
yeah,
and I was like, morning sex.
And what you would normally say to that is, you can, which, makes me uncomfortable. So then I'm like, okay, well, I need you conscious, right? Like I need you there for it. So
consent, please.
Consent. Give me one of those. Give me a thumbs up. And woke up the next morning, and almost every morning, I'm like rubbing on your back and squeezing your butt and rubbing on your legs, and roll over, and it's not spooning, right? It's like backward spooning where we're facing each other and we're kind of entwined.
Yeah.
And sure enough, same as every day, but this time I got the sleepy thumbs up, and that was great. It's not something that I'm interested in all the time, because
right.
I want to feel like you want it, but you've taught me to be okay with those opportunities or those times when you're serving me and you're not necessarily needing sex right that minute, but you are excited to fill a need I have and give me that sleepy thumbs up.
Yeah, I think it's okay for it to not be hot and heavy all the time, and not always be lingerie and lit candles. Sometimes it's sad sex. Sometimes it's I'm excited sex. Sometimes
it's Florida dressing room sex. Sometimes it's felonious sex. Right? Am I right?
Allegedly.
Is that too much?
No, that's just enough. But there's like, I wouldn't ever call it obligatory, because it actually is a pleasure for me to serve you, and I do that. That does bring me joy. And then there's like healing sex, and then there's gotta have you right now. So I think just saying, "Oh, this is what our sex life is like," isn't really fair.
What do you think most? What do you think it is mostly?
Ours?
Yeah.
Um, I would probably say the gotta have you right now.
You think?
What do you think?
I think that at least half of it is you fulfilling a need that I have.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
When you're asking me to put it in your butt, that's for you. Whale?
First of all, get it together.
And?
That's not a thing.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm replaying sex in my mind.
Of course you are.
No, not just right now. I just mean like in general. That's what I do. I replay sex in my mind. Yeah, I guess so. I mostly, and I didn't mean that in a bad way. Like it's not hot and heavy. The hot and heavy times I would say are the times that you initiate. That's when it feels hot and heavy to me. What do you feel is hot and heavy?
Um, when we're anywhere that's not our bedroom, it usually is.
That you usually initiate that.
No, you
That's
do
not
too.
well, but usually dressing room, it's you, right? That's kind of your thing, which
I mean
I
that.
love. Don't get me wrong. Parking lots. It's true.
Stop it.
Okay.
Bathroom counter is you.
Yeah, that's me. Kitchen island.
Shower. Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't do it. I'm not certainly not saying that it's a bad thing,
Mm.
but I do feel like, I mean, we've talked about it. You've got a thing for. You don't want this on there? No.
I think we can leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So kids, am I right? We Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think of our lack of connection was due a lot to that. Or, I don't know, it just wasn't, we weren't connected with each other in all areas like we usually are.
Yeah.
So, had some dental work done and my medicine crashed my libido. So that was part of it.
Yeah.
But I think we're on an upswing.
Yeah.
We got back to over communicating.
Yeah.
I like you.
I like you.
What are you doing?
Just thinking. Just thinking. I don't want to push you and keep saying too much, so I'm just backing off the sex talk on the podcast. Next topic.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, am I right? So we talked about cell phone usage, like June 10th. I saw the note today and it had that date on it. That's why
I was like,
that's
that's oddly specific.
Yeah. And we've got 3 kids that have cell phones. They're almost 12, 14, and 17. And the almost 12-year-old is the most apparent because she was a ballerina twirl around the house, use her imagination, constantly in your face kind of kid until she got a phone 8 months ago, 9 months ago. And now she's like a late sleeper. She's in a room. We don't see her nearly as much.
Yeah.
And then obviously the 2 teenagers have been that way for a minute. Vince only comes out of his bedroom whenever he needs to use the bathroom or he needs to eat some food or he wants to ask if he can spend the night somewhere.
Yeah. Well, he is the most introverted introvert that ever introverted.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been the same even when we've grounded him from his phone.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're just in that zone.
And then the youngest doesn't have a phone, but she's a Fortnite TV watcher. And so I equate them phones, TV, video games. Like if you don't have a phone, then you're spending just as much time on the TV as the other kids are spending on their phone. So it's one and the same to me.
Mm.
But we talked about on June 10th enacting some cell phone restrictions and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
We never actually executed it, but do you remember what those were to be?
They were gonna turn it in at a certain time each night. I think during the day too.
Yeah, like it would be in a public space on a bar, in
Yeah.
the kitchen island or whatever, where you could respond and check it, but not lay in your bed and watch YouTubes all day.
Yeah.
Still want to do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Why wouldn't you?
Um so it's not that I think they should have more screen time or be away from us. I do think over the past month they've done a better job of interacting more, doing more things together, not only with us but with their friends too. Grandparents,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, camps, etc. Um, I don't want to go the other extreme. That's like, no, they're not having phones till they're adults. They're not, because they unfortunately are growing up in a world where they need to be relevant.
Yeah.
If they don't know some of those things they're learning from their phone, it's going to be harder to get a job at some point. So, yeah, I think restrictions are still a positive and still necessary. Just maybe not the going crazy. Excuse you.
No. Yeah, that makes sense. It just, I don't know. I'm really big, especially with Vince, on contributing. I say that a lot. He's not contributing to the household, and that's really my only hang up. Is what in hypothetically what would bother me is someone that is, um, I want to instill in them that don't lay in your bed and watch your phone and not pitch in around the house, but then expect us to drop everything whenever you want something,
Yeah.
whether that's special grocery store treats or a ride to so and so's house or money, or it's like I will gladly not hand out money, but you will have opportunities to have money. But if you're not around to hear the opportunities, there are no opportunities.
Yeah.
If you're in your room 22 hours a day, that's why you didn't hear me. That's why I didn't say to no one, "Hey, I need somebody to mow, $20 or whatever."
Ironically, we send out most of those chore lists and things over the phone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Grocery lists, schedules.
Yeah, cozy.
And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, that a lot of it is just relevant for life these days.
Yeah. We could de-relevize that. I know that's not a word, but we could use the bulletin board or, the calendar, the manual calendar. And
Sure, in our home.
yeah.
But I think at this point, it's an actual life skill.
Yeah.
It's like you said, there still should be boundaries. So
yeah, I would agree. And it can be a career path, Eden, especially our second youngest, she wants to be a YouTuber, and her and Faye make little YouTube videos and unboxings and review. That's what they want to do, and I don't want to completely squash those world experiences from them. But yeah, boundaries or restrictions are probably necessary.
yeah.
Let's talk about school shopping. We just had this conversation a couple hours ago.
Talk about handing out money.
Handing out money. So it's, getting close to back to school. We've got 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids outgrow their uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Kids outgrow their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Kids outgrow their water bottles, their lunch boxes, their backpacks. And when it's all said and done, if you replace all those things every year, you're looking at $2,000.
Yeah.
Ish. And musical instruments. You got to buy a $500 flute.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that I struggle with, because I don't think about, like, whenever you asked earlier, I think you asked, right? Do we get them new backpacks and lunch boxes, or you implied that you
Yeah.
wanted to,
Yeah.
and that's not something that crosses my mind. You know, they don't need new back. Like, I don't think, do they or don't they? Before you mention it, I'm like, well, we already bought them a backpack, so nobody said, hey, my backpack has a basketball size hole in it, so I assume that they still have backpacks. So where does that come from, um, for you wanting to provide those things every year?
um, I don't know. I feel like, for one, I hate sending them back to school. I don't want them to go to school.
You like all of your family to be under one collective roof,
Yes, if we could all
accounted
just stay
for.
right here, that would be great
You
for
can
my anxiety
you can be in your own
and my
room,
heart.
but you're under mama's care, and that's what you want.
That's right. So yeah, I don't like when they have to go to school. I think when I was younger, back to school shopping, it certainly didn't look like what it does for us, but that was one of the only times that we could actually shop, and there were tight restrictions. You know, my parents didn't like to spend a lot of money, um, but it was one of the few times where we could actually know that we were going to get new things.
Yeah. What did you
And
get?
I think I got a backpack every year.
Yeah. Shoes.
Until I got to high school. I think I got a JanSport and then just had to hang on to that for the rest of high school.
Is that more expensive
Yeah.
than what you would have gotten before?
Mhm. Mhm.
If we bought them all Jan Sports this year, would they be good for the rest of their school quarters?
Well, no, it's got to be Nike now.
What's that? 65 a bag?
I
How much
don't
is a
know.
Nike backpack?
Oh
Let's see.
boy, Eden's was 20.
Research.
So then, as a single mom, I would get the other three backpacks, lunchboxes, shoes every year. But it was backpacks from Five Below, shoes from Kroger when they had their giant shoe sale right before school started. So um, it was done as like a special thing, but definitely in a more modest financially
Yeah.
way. We can't get away with that anymore. They've gotten too old for Kroger shoes. They're not
Faye's
having
not too old, but she's too hard on shoes. She needs
it.
she needs a name brand, otherwise they'll last her 60 days.
Yeah.
Nike
We're lucky.
backpacks, you can get them for anywhere from 40 to $100. Most of them look like they're 60 something. Yeah, I had a JanSport too. I wrote corn on it. So in my mind, a backpack is something that you just throw in the washing machine for the new school year and send them on their way, and it comes out bright and beautiful. And I could see it being a problem, like if Eden was in fourth grade 2 years ago and had a unicorn backpack, which even then she would not have had, and then went into middle school, I could see, I don't need this unicorn anymore.
Yeah.
But I do, I think it's important to instill some of those values, whether it's an occasional hand me down, because that's something that y'all did right before you met me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's increasingly more difficult to do because you have a 17-year-old tomboy that wears athleisure all the time, and the hand me too is a fashionista, so she doesn't want athletic shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
She wants sheen.
And the oldest, Leilani, has always been that way where she would rather shop in the boys' department. So I think for the most part, it's the majority of the time been Vince getting her hand me downs anyway.
Yeah.
Now they're practically the same size. So
Yeah. I'm going to try something.
try it. Mm-hmm. We'll circulate it, baby. What's wrong? Did you break it? That doesn't sound like you.
The lower is on this end, and it's in, and everything in the middle is options and menus.
Mm.
Feels better already.
So now we are in the middle of do we, don't we, where do we compromise, what are we okay with?
Yeah, do they need lunch boxes? And Eden just said it at dinner tonight when I get my new school cup, whatever. What are they?
Oh,
What is
water
it?
bottle,
Water
yeah.
bottle. Yeah. She wants a That's Eden in a nutshell. She wants a Stanley as her back to school water bottle.
And the response was never gonna happen.
But it made me think, oh, we didn't even talk about water bottles. If they need lunch boxes and backpacks, do they also need water bottles? That's what, $20 a piece?
Maybe 10, I don't know.
The ones that you bought most recently, I think those are good.
I think so too. Those are really good ones.
I don't mean good for the next school year, although they are. I just mean like the quality is good.
We're also at a point where the oldest two didn't even use lunch boxes, so they didn't get them last year. They didn't use their water I bought the water bottles because they were in packs of 2, and it was like, you get 2 packs. We have 4 kids. They didn't even use theirs, so maybe those go to the youngest.
Yeah. Maybe. What else you got?
And then the uniforms have to be bought. Everybody's grown too much.
Yeah. And that's understandable. Like I can wrap my brain around that. That's going to happen every year unless there's hand-me-down scenarios. But it would. It's not going to happen probably anymore, right? Because Leilani's just about done with uniforms. Vince is too much older, and he wears man pants and man shorts, and girls are different. Eden and Faye aren't the same size.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably $200 or $300 per kid for school uniforms every year.
Yeah. And we don't even go overboard. We get a few.
Yeah.
For each.
Yep. But shoes are the only piece that's remotely exciting to me. I like to see what they get. Here's your budget. Get your back to school shoes. No, they cannot be Dunks, but they are Nike. Sometimes they get Nikes, but it's more the running or the tennis shoe style.
So I had the idea of saying, hey, here's a budget that you can spend between shoes, backpack, lunchbox, and I guess now water bottle.
Yeah.
Look at your stuff, see what shape it's in and what you really need, and prioritize based on that. And this is the amount of money you have to spend on all of those things.
Yeah. That's probably what we're going to end up doing. Good idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I like you.
I like you too.
Is this a little uncomfortable?
No, why?
I'm a little uncomfortable.
How come?
I don't know. I mean, it's not more than the typical podcast uncomfortable. I think I'm just an uncomfortable podcaster.
Well, just converse with me then.
You converse with me.
I think I am a little bit.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Did you do it with your top off?
No, you've got too much cameras in here. Sammy's got his top off.
I don't care about him.
He didn't mean it.
Are you excited about this next camping trip?
Yes. But I like our woodsy camping trips more.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that because it's usually the whole family?
No, it's because there's more exploring for the kids to do.
Yeah. Considering we don't have like a pool or a community pool, I enjoyed being able to get in the pool when we went last month.
Yeah.
This month. But
whenever.
Yeah, I get it. What about the next trip? Are you excited about that?
Yes. I am.
If I'm being honest, I think that this would have been a perfect time for me and you to have gone to Mexico. I'm sad that we missed out on that. And if I would have processed through the 6 to 8 months that we have had, I probably would have pushed a little bit harder and said, "Hey, listen, we've had a rough go of it, hot and cold, and miscommunicating, and not firing on all cylinders. Maybe me and you need to go get in some teeny bikinis and sip some Mai Tais."
Yeah. And that's true. And I agree with you. But we do have one about to start her senior year, and we'll never get this summer right here back. Next summer, I feel like is going to be, is going to look a lot different.
Sure.
So maybe the coming summers when we can't have our kids, even if we want to, I feel like that is easier to take a trip just us and not have the mom guilt.
Yeah. It's difficult, though, to prioritize anything for me over our relationship, even if that is a last child summer. Like, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, obviously, the math checks out. She's going to be 18. She'll be graduating high school next year, so that summer will be different.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just I don't know that there's anything that's more important to me than seeing you in a bikini.
I don't even wear bikinis.
Sometimes.
Well, two-piece, yeah, with the high bottoms.
That's
Anyway.
a bikini, right?
Anyway.
Well, hold on now.
Regardless.
Am I saying it wrong?
I guess not.
Okay.
I guess it technically is. Regardless, I don't want to imply that I'm prioritizing it over our relationship. It's just that it's a summer we'll never get back. It's like if we were going to fly out on a vacation and someone died and the funeral was during that vacation, you can't come back.
We missed your funeral.
You can't come back and go to their funeral later.
Yeah.
I think as I'm getting older, those are the things that I'm realizing is that you can't get that stuff back, no matter how angry you were at the time or bitter or indifferent and didn't care about it, or how much you'd rather have a sexy romantic vacation. You just can't go back to it.
When I talk about you in a bikini, does it make you uncomfortable?
The thought of me in a bikini makes me uncomfortable, but not when you specifically talk about it.
I say it because I want it, but I say it because it feels like a flirt, like a flattering, like a compliment. It feels like you're picking up on it and almost like it's off-putting or making you nervous.
Picturing myself in a bikini is what's doing that.
Okay.
I appreciate your flirtations.
So what if it's me in a little Speedo? And my little black panties.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could swim in those.
See? I like
this
that
better?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a much better visual.
What do you remember when you wanted to wear them?
Uh-huh. Remember how disgusted you were at that thought?
They have like the penis pouch, right? Like they've got the room for the bulge. Listen, when we were dating, you told me that if I were born a woman, you would not continue dating me.
That's right.
It's very...
And what did you tell me? No. I didn't say if you were born a woman. I said if you were a woman. If you were a woman.
No. All we talked about was if I didn't have a penis.
Yeah, like right now.
Yeah. If I am exactly this with a vagina, we would not be married.
Right.
Right. And what did I tell you?
You said you would. If I had a penis, you'd want it to be a huge one.
Oh, hold on now. Oh, yeah, we're done.